When you read a comprehensive behavioral threat assessment, it's actually a lot like watching a seismograph right before an earthquake. You're searching the paper for those subtle tremors.
Right, you're hoping to spot the warning signs before the ground actually breaks open.
Exactly. Welcome to today's deep dive where we're looking at exactly that kind of readout.
Yeah, we're analyzing a pretty intense behavioral threat and legal risk analysis today. It concerns a subject named Nicolas N.Siren.
Right. And our mission here is really to unpack how modern law enforcement connects the dots, taking a suspect's criminal history, their digital footprint, and physical movements to preemptively stop violent crimes.
Because it's rarely just one thing in isolation. To spot those tremors you mentioned, we first have to look at the epicenter.
The background. So Siren is a 46-year-old apprentice electrician, but more importantly, he's a registered sex offender.
Right, with a documented history of terroristic threats and firearm felonies.
Yeah, but what really caught investigators' attention isn't just the rap sheet. It's his recent escalation online. He's been broadcasting on YouTube under channels like Undisputed Still and the Oppwatch OG.
And the digital evidence there is highly concerning. He exhibits clear grooming tactics, like he tries to establish this bizarre dynamic where a female viewer acts as his Spanish teacher.
Wait, a Spanish teacher? That's so specific.
It is. And while he does that, he's probing for information, asking if her sister is older or younger. In threat assessment, we call this compliance testing.
Oh, like testing the waters.
Exactly. He's pitching this innocent-sounding scenario to see if the target plays along. It's a psychological tool to evaluate their boundaries.
Right. And if they accept the harmless premise, he knows their guard is down.
Exactly. Then he can start pushing the limits. And, he pushes them fast. Within these same live streams, he transitions to violent rhetoric, bragging about having tons of guns, saying he's strapped.
He even commanded someone on a live stream to drop him, didn't he?
Yes, literally telling someone to drop another person.
Which brings up a big question. The internet is full of guys talking tough on live streams. How do investigators actually distinguish between, typical toxic internet posturing and genuine predatory escalation?
Well, the line really gets crossed when that digital threat manifests into a physical hunting ground.
Right, moving into the real world.
Exactly. The escalation became truly actionable when Siren was reported at Sylvan Beach Park in La Porte, Texas.
And what was he doing there?
He was actively filming young women. But what elevates this from just creepy behavior to incredibly dangerous is that he was caught explicitly lying to the women about recording them.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a known predation tactic. It's used to prevent targets from recognizing the threat and fleeing.
But the specific location he chose is really what gives law enforcement the leverage they need, isn't it? Because under La Porte municipal codes, Sylvan Beach Park is a designated child safety zone.
Right. Ordinance O-2010-3D308 to be exact.
So given his registry status, just being within 500 feet of children violates a strict loitering ban. It's basically a legal tripwire. His physical presence there, combined with the digital stalking, it automatically triggers a municipal trap that grants authorities the immediate right to intervene.
And because he tripped that wire while simultaneously making death threats to a user online, investigators immediately deploy an action plan. They run his profile through systems like the Mosaic model.
Or the past to violence model, right?
Exactly. And these aren't just, simple checklists. They're analytical frameworks that evaluate a combination of his stressors, his access to weapons, and capacity for violence.
To calculate a lethality score.
Right. And Siren flagged as extremely high lethality. The system identified his weapon fixation compounding with his prior convictions for terroristic threats.
Let me push back slightly, though. Is a death threat made from a live stream truly enough to warrant emergency protective orders and GPS monitoring? Law enforcement can't exactly monitor every toxic gamer online.
Yeah, they can't. But the algorithm weighs context really heavily. Siren isn't just an angry streamer.
Right, he's a convicted felon legally barred from possessing firearms.
Exactly. So when he broadcasts that he is strapped, the assessment model categorizes that not as posturing, but as a perceived capability and intent for lethal violence.
Ah, I see.
That's why the actionable strategy immediately shifts. They do unannounced home visits, vehicle searches to locate those firearms, and digital forensics to find trophy videos from his time at the park.
It really highlights how public safety relies on a hybrid approach today, blending digital surveillance with local municipal codes.
Absolutely. The physical and digital realms are entirely collapsed in the eyes of modern threat assessment. They're just a single operational environment.
Which leaves you, the listener, with a really provocative thought to mull over. As technology allows offenders to use live streaming as the sort of mobile blind for stalking, how will future child safety zone laws need to adapt?
It's a huge question.
Right, like are municipalities going to have to start restricting virtual proximity and digital access and not just physical boundaries?
Usually when you think of a police stakeout, it means a dark van, binoculars, maybe some terrible coffee.
Right, law enforcement just like hiding in the shadows to catch a suspect.
Exactly. But today, forensic investigators don't always need to hide to track a high-risk sex offender. Sometimes the offender is literally doing the work for them by live streaming his own crimes to the entire world.
It completely flips that traditional surveillance model on its head. And I mean, in this deep dive, we are looking at exactly how law enforcement uses those digital footprints to anticipate predatory behavior before it turns violent.
Yeah, we're breaking down a forensic behavioral and statutory law enforcement guide detailing the tracking of a specific high-risk registered offender in Texas, Nicolas N.Siren.
So to start, we have his state identification number, his SID. That's the anchor point for police.
Right, but having a name and an ID doesn't tell you what a suspect is actually planning to do today. That's where his YouTube live stream changes everything.
Oh, absolutely.
It's basically a digital stakeout.
Yes.
Where the suspect is accidentally wearing a wire on himself. Because there's this one specific video where he is deceptively filming a young woman. He literally looks at her and says, "I'm not recording," while he is actively broadcasting her image to the internet.
Yeah, and he's doing this voyeuristic surveillance, filming near showers, looking into car interiors.
But I'm looking at this and thinking, honestly, people film in public all the time.
Yeah.
Everyone is a vlogger now. So how do police look at this specific video and say, well, that's a crime, rather than just a guy being incredibly creepy?
What's fascinating here is that forensic psychologists look past the camera and analyze the behavior behind it.
Yep.
They look at what is called the pre-contact phase.
Look, let's unpack this.
So this isn't just a guy filming his day. It is textbook grooming deception. By explicitly telling the woman he isn't recording, he's actively manipulating her perception of reality to circumvent her consent.
Wow, so he creates a false sense of security.
Exactly. In behavioral analysis, establishing that kind of deceptive control over a person's environment is a massive red flag. It's the psychological stepping stone that almost always precedes severe physical boundary violations.
And because he feels invincible doing this online, he starts testing physical boundaries in the real world. Like, this deceptive behavior doesn't just stay confined to his car, it drives him right into high-risk areas.
Yeah, the footage captures what investigators call the kids in carnivals phenomenon.
Oh, right.
The live streams show him at a public beach surrounded by like 15 to 20 children, and later he's just lingering at a carnival right up until it closes.
And for a high-risk registered offender in Texas, these aren't just bad choices. I mean, they are direct violations of child safety zones and local municipal ordinances.
Right. For instance, the city of LaPorte has a strict 1,000-foot restriction around any area where children commonly gather.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. He isn't just quietly standing there. While he is at these places, he is actively making threats on his broadcast.
Yeah. At one point, he threatens to unalive someone. And he gives a very specific timeline, saying the second week of May.
Well, wait, how exactly does an internet threat become an actionable trap for him?
Well, putting that date on it changes everything legally and tactically. A vague threat is hard to prosecute. But giving a specific timeline transforms a random internet rant into a clear indicator of planned aggression.
Making it a potential terroristic threat under the Texas Penal Code.
Exactly. And it comes back to that SID number. Because he gave a specific timeline, that second week of May, police can enter his ID into the national database with a specific alert attached to that window of time.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So if he moves without registering his travel and his ID gets run for something as simple as a traffic stop anywhere in the country during that week, it instantly triggers a second-degree felony travel violation alert on the officer's screen.
So the ID acts as a digital tripwire the moment he interacts with law enforcement, which really shows exactly why this matters to you, the listener. The system relies on informed community reporting.
It does. When a citizen sees this and captures the exact URLs and the specific timestamps of these violations, it gives police the actionable data they need.
Right. It gives them the direct mechanism to trigger an immediate investigation by the Texas DPS rather than just waiting for a crime to happen.
Exactly. The system is designed to transition from passive monitoring to active intervention, but it relies entirely on that digital evidence being properly documented.
Which leaves a pretty chilling thought to consider.
Yeah.
If an offender is in such a state of psychological decompression that they are bold enough to live stream their explicit zone violations and threats, how much more extreme is their behavior when the camera is actually turned off?